and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are on to episode 11 now, which is entitled Eve. Now, again, this is another one that I couldn't remember a thing about when it started, and it kind of opens up with two joggers running down the street when they happen to notice a little girl just standing in the middle of the street, cuddling onto a teddy bear, who says that her dad needed some quiet time in the garden. And they go to see the guy, and he's sitting on a swing with 2 puncture wounds in his neck, and his face is quite literally grey.
Yeah. So the first thing you're thinking is vampires.
It was, and then I was like, there's no way the X-Files are touching vampires.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You've got some episodes coming, believe me.
And I was like, initially, as soon as I saw it, I thought, creepy little kid. But that feeling quite quickly, it wore off as the episode goes on.
It wore off?
It wore off until about a bit through the movie, a bit through the episode, and then it came back with a vengeance.
You're kidding
At first
me.
I thought,
there's not one single point during this entire episode where I don't look at these girls and think, creepy little buggers.
Right at the start, I thought creepy little kids, and then it wasn't until later on in the episode, when maybe about 15 minutes in, where it came back to being creepy little kids again. You know?
No, I just thought the whole time through they may as well have just had a neon sign above their head that said creepy little buggers.
Mm-hmm. So it's quite a good opening, like you said. There's a couple of ways you could take it, but the thing that really got me was the colour of the guy. I mean, it seemed to be like down to his chin was like grey,
yeah,
and then it was like flesh coloured neck. It was just such a weird thing. So then we jump straight into like the FBI headquarters, and Scully is telling Mulder about the case, and it almost seems a little bit disinterested while she's talking, but it's probably because he's thinking of a cool way to unveil how this is connected to cattle mutilations and aliens, you know. Yeah. He's just acting aloof.
So Scully says it's death by hypovolemia, which I'd never heard of, but yeah. But like you say, Mulder goes straight into exsanguination and this digitalis extract kind of thing that he says has been linked to multiple kind of UFO abductions or supposed UFO alien abductions.
But I love the way he starts to unveil this, and he's just kind of like cattle mutilations, and he's throwing up these slides, and he's like blah 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 blah, and then just at the end he's like aliens. You know, you could almost see him just like drop the mic and walk off.
Scully's just like, her face just reads like a sigh, basically, in physical form.
Because I was waiting on the argument from Scully as if to, like, you know, the counterbalance to the argument. She just kind of goes, nah, what's the point?
So it's not even worth going there.
Yeah, pretty much. And it goes straight on to social services, and Mulder and Scully are visiting Tina. And Scully's very professional and relating to the kid. And then, you know, just near the end of that, Mulder jumps straight in with the leading questions. Did you see little green men? Did you see red flashing lights? Did you see this? Did you see that? Mm-hmm. Oh,
the thing that stands out for me is when the little girl is telling Mulder what she saw, and she talks about red lightning and men from the clouds, and she uses the words, they wanted to exsanguinate him. Like,
yeah.
It's just, even if she's seen them exsanguinating him, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't know what that word is, let alone remember to be able to say it.
Yeah. But it seems to be, like, it's alluded to later in the episode that the two girls have a connection.
Like almost psychic kind of thing.
Yes, but when you look back to this scene as well, it's almost as if she has a kind of psychic ability to read people as well, because she's telling Mulder exactly what he wants to hear.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I get from this scene, because she's not only telling Mulder what he wants to hear, she's telling him in his own words. He's using his own words to basically, you know, get him all fired up. So right off the bat, the first thing I'm thinking is, one, you're a creepy little bugger, and two, you can read his mind, so you're telling him exactly what he wants to hear. Something is rotten in Denmark at this point.
See, I don't know if it's just I'm tired of that, but it was at this point I went, oh, it's not creepy little kids, it is aliens, or something along those lines. This is where I switched off from that. So then it goes to the Reardon household, where there's been another murder exactly the same, at roughly the same time as as Tina's father was killed.
Yeah, in the exact same way, yeah.
Yeah, and again, the daughter remembers nothing, but you don't see anybody, you just see them walking absent sort of crime scene.
Yeah, so Scully suggests that it's joint serial killers, whereas Mulder says that is highly unlikely. And this is, again, where Mulder's serial killer profiling kind of comes out, because obviously one of the things that made him big at the FBI was the fact that he has this ability to profile serial killers. And when he says it's highly unlikely that you would get two serial killers working in tandem like this, Scully just kind of, she almost kind of just bites and says, yeah, fair enough, but she's still not quite buying the whole alien abduction scenario, so what the hell's going on, basically?
Yeah. And then we cut to a scene at night where Tina's lying in bed, and there's this door with a round sort of window on it. And there's just something creepy about a door with a round window on it, just at night time. It looks, you kept waiting for somebody's face to appear at it. And it was quite creepy and spooky. Of course, there's thunder and lightning and it's raining outside as well.
I think a door like that or a window like that is creepy because it reminds you of the kind of windows you would get on a boat out at sea. Like, below decks and whatnot. I don't know, there's just something claustrophobic about that, but that's just me reading a bit too much into it, I guess. But the thing about this scene that cracks me up is, and the thing is, when I came into this episode, my memories of it were really that it was quite a good one. It was a really solid one. I'm not sure I'm of that opinion anymore, but this scene, there's a lot of banging, there's smashing and stuff, and the girl's screaming and she's being dragged out of this bedroom. But like I say, the door gets kicked down and the orderly, the woman, only comes like after the girl has screamed, literally just like the final moments when she gets taken. I guess you could argue that the thunderstorm kind of masks the sound of the door being broken down, but yeah, it felt a bit dubious to me.
No, you're probably right. I hadn't thought about that, but you're quite right, because there's a fair bit of a kicking getting done to that door before it bursts open.
Yeah.
So Mulder and Scully are talking about the Tina kidnapping, and Mulder says that maybe they weren't looking in the right direction, pointing up to the skies.
Subtle,
which is just he just doesn't give up. He's just everything goes in that direction. And then they go to see Cindy, who looks absolutely identical to Tina. And the two of them are taken aback. So they go in the house and are talking to Mrs. Reardon, who they start to question about the validity of her daughter. Was it her daughter? Did she give a natural birth to her?
Yeah.
Yeah, which understandably the women's freaked out.
Yeah, but they find out that she did give birth through in vitro fertilisation. Scully says girls are the only links between the murders. Mulder says, and one was just abducted. Scully says kidnapped, so she corrects him, kidnapped. Yeah. And then Mulder's like, potato, which is a really good quote, I think.
Oh, brilliant. It's just typical Mulder, though. That's the difference between the two of them. You've got Mulder, who is unflappable about his beliefs, type of thing, and where you've got Scully, who quite easily will listen to an argument, and if you have a valid point, she's going to buy that.
Yeah.
But even in jest, they won't bend. Not even a little bit. So then it jumps to the sort of baby factory, where Scully discovers this Dr.
Well,
Kendrick.
actually, we got Mulder thinks someone will try to abduct Cindy. So Mulder thinks someone's going to try and abduct Cindy, as they did with Tina. So he stays to do a stakeout while Scully goes to the fertilisation clinic to get some answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at the baby factory, Scully discovers all about Dr. Kendrick, a woman that used to work there and left under a cloud because she was doing some nefarious things.
Yeah, she was nothing but a problem, according to this doctor that she speaks to. He seems like a pretty reasonable guy. He doesn't come off as creepy. You don't suspect him as a villain or anything. So, and he doesn't turn out to be. He's kind of this character you would kind of probably expect to maybe in this kind of show, but no, he just leads us to the woman who is basically, which is this crazy Dr. Kendrick.
Which is a horrible idea in general, the fact that she's messing about with these embryos before they're implanted into women. You know, she's changing the genetic makeup. Which is, it's just a horrible thought, to these people carrying what is not anything to do with them.
And she's actually cloning herself. So people are essentially giving birth to another version of her, which is quite twisted. It's like...
So Scully's filling in Mulder about Kendrick, and someone calls the phone and hangs up. And at this point, Mulder becomes super suspicious and generally just pushes Scully out the door. And then Mulder jumps to a scene where he is meeting up with Deep Throat again, which is starting to become some of my favourite scenes.
I'm not getting my own notes here. There's the. It's how Mulder goes to see Deep Throat that I find quite interesting, because he pushes Scully out. It's the way he pushes Scully out the door, like he's a proper guilty. Did you say that? Did you just say that?
A little bit, but when you go.
Well, it is. It's just like he's been caught in the act, or he's trying to cover something up, and you can read it, and it's Scully's reaction that I find quite priceless. She's like, "Mulder, you're pushing me out the door," and she clearly knows he's up to something, but he's just like, I'm just gonna watch a movie or something, have a shower, wash my hair, just typical kind of nonsense excuse, and it's just like, you're so guilty.
And then it jumps to the meeting with Deep Throat, which, like I said, is becoming some of my favourite scenes in the episodes. You know, when they're done right, and in this case they're done right because Deep Throat he surprised Mulder that he's there, and he fills him in about this Litchfield experiment. Yeah,
he's essentially at this point Basil Exposition, but he's an intriguing Basil Exposition because you never really know what side of the fence he sits on. You never quite know the motives for why he's giving Mulder information. Like he feeds Mulder just enough information each time to kind of get on the case. But he could, if he knows this stuff, he could literally just tell Mulder everything rather than pointing him in the direction. So that kind of always makes you think, well, what's his end game? What's his motive? Does he have an ulterior motive for helping Mulder? And that's why I think these scenes often work. There's something of a bit of a mentor kind of student relationship going on there, but like in a weird kind of way.
Definitely. So this Litchfield experiment is all about child cloning, where they made these kind of different kids who, the boys were called Adam, the girls were called Eve.
I'm sorry, I'm suddenly thinking of the quote from Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin when he says, "Adam and evil."
Oh, God. Batman and Robin. Let's just skip right by that.
Okay.
So they know that the girls, or there's been cloning experiments done before to create these kind of super soldiers. And he says that there is one incarcerated, and they will make sure that they get to meet this person. So they go to the prison to meet Eve 6.
Yeah.
who initially I thought was Sally Kendrick.
Yeah. She's identical to Sally Kendrick, and this is the scene I always remembered from this episode, because I think, I forgot to jot her name down, but the actress who plays Kendrick, I think, is really good in this scene. She's
excellent.
Very good at being like bottled psychosis, I think. She just the way she gnashes her teeth, and her teeth just look all manky and yellow, and it's just like, she puts in easily the best performance of this episode. But I think she's definitely the most memorable thing about this episode.
This is the most memorable scene in the episode. It's fantastic the way it's done. Just even the way she points to the wall with her foot at one point. It's just crazy, but it's brilliantly creepy. And we find out that she's not Kendrick. She's another one of the clones, and she's been held there for a vast number of years.
Yeah, and she says there's another 2 of them out there, so they're on the loose, and they're basically trying to keep Cindy and Tina in the family.
Yeah, which is a terrifying thought. So outside Cindy's house, Mulder and Scully are surveilling the house when suddenly Cindy is snatched. So Scully goes inside the house and Mulder goes out the back. And in one of my favourite scenes, Scully gets pushed unconscious. Which I don't think I've ever seen happen before.
No, it's like I could kind of buy it if it was Mulder, because we've seen Mulder getting taken out like a bit of a pussy at many times, but with Scully, it's kind of like Scully, you're usually a bit harder than this, but like you do have to pick up on the fact that what Eve 6 says in the cell is that through their cloning, through their creation, they were given heightened strength. So you can assume that she was pushed with a bit more force than maybe the average person would. But even so, it's Scully, man. Come on, she's got more in her than that.
And then outside, after she jumps through a patio window, that's Eve, whichever number it is. She pulls a gun on Cindy, and Mulder just lowers his gun, and she gets away with the girl.
Yeah.
Kendrick introduces Cindy and Tina together, who just have a little smile and a little glance at each other that just makes you go, "Yep, creepy kids." It's creepy kids. It's definitely creepy kids. I get it now.
As if there was any doubt.
Yeah, there was for me, but now it was all out. It was done.
Yeah. So Mulder and Scully get a tip from basically the gardener of the hotel.
The creepy gardener.
Yeah, he's basically the guy that you would get in Friday the 13th who says, "Don't go up to the old barn."
It's the way they're standing, like raking the leaves, but not looking at the work they're doing. They're just studying everything about them, just standing that one motion that just.
There's a doings a transpiring.
Yeah. So Kendrick talks to the girls about why they've killed their fathers, why they did this, why they played this prank, I think she refers to it. And the girls don't really have an answer for her.
Well, they say that the men weren't their fathers. Yeah. So basically they don't acknowledge these people who've brought them up their whole lives as their parents, and the reason for that, I guess, is just that they're psychopaths, and they have, like, as we said, they have this psychic connection with each other. So I guess they feel more connected to each other than they do to their so-called parents.
And Kendrick explains in this scene as well a little bit more about the Litchfield experiment and the fact that they messed about with the chromosomes for these secondary clones. And where the originals didn't sort of achieve psychosis, until they were 16, I think they say. Yeah. These girls have achieved it much earlier, so the experiments kind of backfired on them a little bit. And then we find out that Kendrick starts to act a little bit funny. She falls back, she's trembling, and the girls have poisoned her.
Yeah, the old digitalis. has been stuck in her drink. So she gets taken out. I like the way she instantly, as she realises that she's been poisoned, she goes for a knife and she's going to kill these kids, and she says she's going to correct the mistake. It's just like 3 psychotic women in a room, basically, locked in a room together.
And at this point, Mulder and Scully are outside the motel and they hear the noise. And they burst in, and the girls do a fantastic job of making it feel like it was supposed to be a mass suicide murder type thing.
Yeah.
And they actually say that there's another Eve was there and that she's ran away.
I do wonder at this point, though, if Mulder or Scully have ever seen any horror movies at all. They don't suspect these kids just one bit, but, fair enough, whatever.
At this point, you can kind of let it away. There's a point later on where you're just like, oh, come on.
I don't know, it's just because of the whole idea that they know that they're clones, they know that they come from this Litchfield experiment, and they know that the previous results of that experiment have been psychotic. So, you've got to be on your guard with these girls. I would think that would be a thing in the back of your mind right off the bat. I wouldn't be too quick to believe what these girls are saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose it's hard to judge, because when they are looking at them, they are looking at kids. But then, we're looking at it through the prism of having seen all these horror movies and TV shows. So, before anything had happened, I'm pretty sure we both would have shot them in the head and have them buried in a shallow ditch, whether they gave any signs or not. We just know any 2 girls that are twin-like, we know it's bad news. So then, for some reason, and this was great, Mulder and Scully are talking to a police officer, and I can't remember who it is, but one of them says, we'll take the girls, we'll make sure that they get seen to. And the police officer kind of goes to argue and then just goes like, whatever, and walks away. And I just love the sheer, I can't be bothered, if you want them, take them attitude.
To me, that just felt like the writers couldn't figure out a justifiable reason why this guy would let him. So he's just like, let's just make him the laziest cop on the force. He just don't give a toss.
It's absolutely, I couldn't believe it, because I had to just zip it back a little bit just to go, did he just say whatever? And shrug his shoulders and just walk away. He didn't even write anything in his notepad. Just poised there with the pen and paper, whatever.
Yeah, at least, ask to see Mulder and Scully's ID just to make sure,
Yeah. So they're driving silently with these creepy little kids in the car. Which is weird, because they would have had the radio on, surely.
Yeah, and there's a line of dialogue from Scully when she says, they've already grown so attached, it's going to be hard to separate them when Tina goes into foster care. It's literally been 24 hours? A day, 2 days at the most? And it's like they've already become so attached. I don't know, it just... That line, when she says it to me, just feels...
Yeah, it seems a bit forced, a bit written.
Yeah, definitely.
So the girls say they need to go to the bathroom. Scully says she needs some caffeine. So they pull over to use a restroom and buy some soft drinks. And Scully takes the 2 girls into the ladies' bathroom, and one of them instantly creeps back out and poisons Mulder and Scully's soft drinks. Creepy little kids. And this is where it gets a bit cliched and kind of run down. They get out to the car. Mulder's forgotten his keys somehow.
Thank God Mulder forgot his keys, eh? It's convenience. The convenience of forgetting your keys.
But you never see him putting them down, do you? He goes over to the table, and one of the girls just says, "Yep, that's your drinks," and then they kind of leave.
No, I'm sure you do see him put them down when he goes for the drinks, but even so, it's so contrived Just so contrived. It's like it's you get out of jail free card, isn't it? It's like when you kind of written yourself into a corner, you just throw something like that in. Oh, I forgot my keys, and it's like he goes back to get his keys, and he, you know. Even if you saw his keys, you wouldn't look at them to such an extent, I don't think, that you would see those little traces of digitalis on the table. You'd see them from a distance, you'd go over and you'd grab them without even taking much notice. And it's just, so that whole aspect to this ending, it just makes it feel contrived, makes it feel trite, and it's when the episode really kind of loses it for me. I mean, up until this point, it has had quite a few strong elements. It's been quite eerie, quite creepy. Like I say, I think the woman who plays the Sally Kendrick's character is really good in this episode, in these multiple roles. The girls are genuinely creepy the way they're meant to be, although I don't think they're particularly great actors. And we've had a few good moments with Mulder and Scully, like when he's pushing her out the room and stuff with Deep Throat. But when it gets to this end point, I just think, no, you surely could have come up with a better ending than this.
Yeah, and I think it stems from the fact that they know that the Tooth Fathers have been poisoned with this stuff. They know that it was in the soft drinks at the motel. But then you have the scene, and they know that it's super sweet.
Yeah.
Because Scully mentions that at one point. But then you get the scene of Mulder taking a large drink and going, well, it's very syrupy. Are you sure this is diet? You know, and even Scully does the same, and it's just, like you said, it's very cliched and very forced. And then we get one of the worst chase sequences I think we've seen in the episode.
It's like, the thing is, right, the car goes off, it speeds off as if they're going after the girls, and you think, oh, Mulder and Scully in there, and then the girls get out of this skip, and you think, oh, they're going to get away, and then Mulder pops up and grabs them.
Yeah.
And it's like, Mulder would have had to have known that they'd gotten in that skip in order to just suddenly grab them like that, in which case, why bother speeding off in the car? But it's like, again, it's convenience. It's like, of all the places Mulder could have been in that big place looking for where those girls could have possibly gone, he just happens to be in the right spot to catch them getting out of that skip when the car zooms off. Again, it's just so contrived. It's lazy writing. It just feels like they've not even bothered.
Well, previous to that, the one thing that really annoyed me was the two people in the truck. You know, when Mulder catches the kids to start off with, and they're out with the gun. You know? Now, it doesn't go any further about these people, but I think these people were into sort of people trafficking, because you know that girls get in the truck straight away. You know, we're going to take you and sell you. Oh, free payday. It seems so strange. You know, you got Mulder and Scully there, like, we are the police, but they let the kids go.
Yeah, it's just like. I don't know. It's just, it feels forced. That's the thing. Basically, like, it's a good episode up until we get to the diner. Once Eve 6 gets taken out by the girls. Once they poison Eve 6 and Mulder and Scully.
Eve 6 is in the. Eve 6 is in the
sorry,
prison.
yeah. It's Eve 8 in it. It's one of the other two anyway. It's one of the other two Eves. Yeah. Once she gets poisoned by the girls and Mulder and Scully turn up, that's when basically the episode just takes a complete nosedive.
And it's we jump. Once Mulder grabs him, pops out of nowhere behind the boat and just grabs the girls, it jumps to Mrs. Reardon again, who earlier in the episode was so adamant that this was her daughter, just to suddenly just go like, I don't know her. I don't know who she is. Yeah. I'm just going to rip up this picture of her and burn her.
Yeah, I mean, in her...
I don't know why they went back there.
In her defence, at that point, like, when she was first, defensive of her daughter, she didn't know that her daughter was the one who killed her husband. Whereas by that point, by the end, obviously she rips that that photo in two, doesn't she? And she finds out, obviously by this point she knows that one, her daughter is actually a clone of some other psycho woman, and two, this little psycho clone that was created inside her killed her husband. So by that point, I think she would be a little bit bitter. I don't know to the point that she'd completely disown her, like, but
Again, it just seems to have like a story point that's turned up to 11 for no reason. I mean, if I didn't get back to her, I wouldn't have missed that point in the story at all.
No.
And then it cuts to the final scene where they're in the prison. Eve 6 is there with the two girls who are now numbered Eve 9 and Eve 10, and they get a surprise visitor, which, let's face it, it's not a surprise. We know what's coming here. And the fact that the police have let in someone that looks identical to this notorious prisoner that they've got there just seems kind of weird as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, they do say, at least there's a woman the one who lets Mulder and Scully into the cell. She does say earlier in the episode that no one's ever gotten a good look at her because she's in that darkened cell and she freaks out whenever they turn the lights on. So
yeah, but I heard that earlier on, but then I just kind of put it away because Mulder and Scully walk in and she's quite clearly in a lit room.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like,
yeah. I don't buy it either, to be honest. I don't buy that she's been in there for the length of time that she has and that people haven't been able to get at least a good enough look at her to suspect this woman when she comes walking in to see. And again, it's like, how does she gain access to this woman? Because for Mulder and Scully, it takes Deep Throat, someone very high up in the echelons of the government, in order to get them in. So how has this Sally Kendrick clone managed to get in by just simply wearing a white doctor's coat? You know, it just feels like, and once she's in there, you know, what's she going to do? How's she going to get them out? You're in like a maximum security mental institution. Oh, okay, great. She's got in there. How's she going to get him out? What's she hoping to achieve? She's not going to achieve anything. It's one of those stingers for the sake of having a stinger at the end of the episode, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's a stinger.
It's a stinker.
Yeah. So, like I said, overall, I really liked the episode up until probably just after, Mulder and Scully take the kids away in the car. Yeah. I found out some really eerie scenes. Like I said, I thought it was creepy kids. I didn't think it was creepy kids. It turned out to be that. I kind of liked some of the scenes. It's just that final few minutes just lets it down. But I can't write the episode off just because the last couple of minutes are rubbish. You know, like the episode was pretty good, and I did kind of like most of it. That's why I think I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, really? That high?
Really?
3.5? Yep. 3.5 out of 5?
Like
Seriously?
Yep.
Man,
and I was dithering about
Oh, good grief.
If it wasn't for that conversation about the end there, Brian, it may have got a 4.
Oh! Right, okay.
Right, go on, hit us with it.
Well, the thing is, right, I can't blame you in all honesty, because from my memories of this, like when we did the last episode, and I think you asked what we got to look forward to with Eve, what we expecting. I did say that I remember it being a pretty decent one, and I think back in my X-Files, glory days when I was really fanatical about the series, I think at some point I probably would have given this a 4 out of 5. But it's just coming back to it now and having a lot more kind of experience of, reading film, reading TV shows and things like that. I could probably be convinced to give this a 3. As we were talking, I was kind of going down to a 2.5. I did actually write 3 out of 5 when I viewed the episode, but as we were talking, that mark kind of went down to a 2.5. Right. But I'm going to give it a 3 because it is a good episode. It does have some good stuff in it, particularly, like I say, that actress who plays the Eve clones. I think she's very good in it. There's some nice moments between Mulder and Scully, and a decent deep throat scene. And it is intriguing at the start when the episode first gets going. I mean, I obviously have the disadvantage, I guess, in this respect, of having seen this episode so many times, that it's no longer really that fresh anymore. But from a fresh perspective, if I was watching this for a first timer's kind of point of view, then yeah, I'd find this quite intriguing. I'd find it dark, I'd find it creepy and eerie, and yeah, it goes places you don't quite expect. But yeah,
There's only one question I've got, and that is, what did the girls... How did they drain the blood out of their fathers, and what the hell did they do with the blood?
Again, not answered. Yeah, just... no idea.
Well.
Can't answer it.
So, next episode we are moving on to episode 12, which is Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you remember about that one? Is that a notorious episode? Is that a popular one?
This is quite a divisive episode from what I recall. It was actually a favourite of mine in the first series. I'm not sure it's top 5 material, but it's definitely top 10 material from the first season. Me and my brother used to watch this episode quite a lot. I mean, my brother wasn't quite as big of an X-Files fan as I was, but I knew the episodes that would get him to watch it, you know? So if I was like, Paul, do you want to stick some X-Files on? And he'd be like, yes, we could watch Fire, stick Fire on there. He'd be like, yeah, go on then, because I know he'd like it. And so this was one of the ones that we kind of watched a fair bit together. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be a good one, but like I say, it was quite divisive. A lot of people didn't like the episode. A lot of fans didn't like the episode for one very particular reason, I think, which we'll go into obviously when we get to the episode.
Absolutely. So we'll see you next week for episode 12, which is Fire.